Hey everybody, it's Tracy from Adventures in Hydroponics and Gardening, and today we're going to make our fairy garden. I'm so excited. Many of the things I bought were from either known in some parts of the country as the Christmas tree shop. I got a couple things at Target, a couple things at Michael's, and a couple things at the local hardware store. I'll also go into detail about all the plants that I bought, and if you have any questions, let me know down in the comments. Let's get started. Okay, so the first steps in making our fairy garden was we amended our soil with some mushroom compost and some more garden soil and mixed that in really well. I live in Georgia and we have heavy clay soil, so I just wanted to give it, just a rich mixture for the plants. And then when you lay down your fabric, your landscaping fabric, just these pins to secure them in place. And then hopefully that will cut down a little bit on some of the animals that like to bury things in this area. If you watched my short about a week or so ago, some kind of creature was burying nuts, probably a squirrel or a chipmunk, and dug up my little fairy road. So I'm hoping this will deter them from wanting to dig in this area. So the area we're going to be planting is shade to part shade. And it's shaded by this Oakleaf Hydrangea and then this Chinese Snowball tree. I'll look up the actual name of the tree, but in the spring it's got these beautiful snowball flowers. So because we don't get a lot of sun in this area, it's pretty shaded. We wanted to pick some good shade plants. And so now I'll go ahead and break down what those are. I'm using images I took using the Picture This app to show all the plants used in the fairy garden. In the previous shot I mentioned the Chinese snowball tree, which is actually a species of Vibernum and is technically a bush, not a tree. Like mine, the Chinese snowball variety can grow to 12 to 15 feet, so it looks like a tree. Its botanical name is Viburnum macrocephalum, and it's hardy to zones 4 to 7. I'm in North Georgia, zone 7B. I'm not sure if I've mentioned that before. And like I showed in the previous shot as well, the other plant is the Oakleaf Hydrangea, which is hardy to zones 5 to 9 and is native to the southeastern U.S. and does well in sun or shade. So because both of those plants provide a great deal of shade over the fairy garden, I did choose plants that will do well in shade to part shade. This one is the Persian Shield, which is native to Myanmar, and it's a perennial in zones 9 to 11. So I'll have to bring it inside over the winter. I do like that the vibrant purple leaves kind of give it a bit of a fantasy feel in the fairy gnome garden. So next up is the Inchplant, which is a species of Spiderwort. Its botanical name is Tradescanta Zebrina, and I really like how it plays off the purple in the Persian Shield. Since this plant is hardy to zones 9 to 11, I'll also have to bring this one indoors if I want it to survive the winter. So the autumn fern is a perennial here in zones 4 to 9, so it will stay outside to keep the fairy and gnomes company through the winter. New growth on this one has a coppery red color and then matures to a deep green that you see now. I really think the color is going to be really beautiful next year when we get the new growth coming in. The Bloodleaf, or Ireseine herbstili, which I know I'm mispronouncing, just has a stunning red color. Looks right out of a fantasy storybook to me. It's a Brazil native and hardy to zones 10 to 12, so we'll have to bring her indoors if we want to keep it for next year. We can take some cuttings before it gets cold. And this plant does easily propagate in water, so we can keep it going for next year. Well, this is angel wings, or some people call them elephant ears, but the botanical name is Caladium Bicolor. This just gives some great cover over the little buildings. It just kind of looks like what a fairy building, where they would put it to keep the rain off. I also like how the red veins in this variety mirror the red in the Bloodleaf plant. You do want to be aware that if you have pets or kids or livestock or anything, this plant is poisonous if ingested and can also cause some skin irritation with handling any part of the plant. So be sure to wear gloves. That that's kind of a plus for me to keep out the rabbits, squirrels, chipmunks, groundhogs, and everything else that's been kind of digging in here because they will know not to eat it. It's actually native to Central and South America and only hardy to zone 10, so we'll have to overwinter this one as well. In the fall, we can dig up the tubers that it creates and store them in wood shavings, and then we'll just keep it in the garage until it is time to replant next spring. So the grass that we're going to be using in the fairy garden is Scotch moss. The botanical name is Sagina subulate Aurea. It is hardy to zones 4 to 8 and will tolerate part sun. So it'll work well here in my zone 7. We'll see how it holds up to the filtered sun. What I really like about it is it does have some little white flowers that are the perfect size for like a gnome or fairy garden. This stuff is also really good to grow on pathways around like stepping stones, since it can tolerate some walking on. And I think it'll just look really nice around as grass in our fairy garden, just due to the small size. Okay, we got everything planted and got our little gnomes and their gnome houses put in. You'll see a couple of these globes are glow in the dark, so that'll be cool at night to have some light out here. This house here also has a solar light, but I don't think it's going to get enough light down here to light up. And then my favorite part is we put in a little pond here with a little ducky, and tucked in under this leaf is another little house, and that's our other globe here that glows in the dark. And we've reinstalled our road. Hopefully the cloth underneath everything will deter animals from digging, but if not, at least we have the finished product on camera for posterity. So coming around to the back side of the fairy garden to show you an upcoming project. So there's kind of this little natural area underneath the Oakleaf Hydrangea and our tree that I'm going to be making a little secret garden. I'm going to put a garden bench back here, put down some paving stones, and like an arbor with some lights, some fairy lights. So it may or may not be this summer, but I just would love to take advantage of this really cool area back here. All right, so the last step in our fairy garden is going to be to add our curtain string lights. So hopefully this is showing up on film. We're covering up the light sensor. So we've got these really pretty lights coming on, and I'll just back up a little bit. So they're kind of going to be a backdrop to the garden at night. Make it look like a little magical forest. So we did it. We got the fairy garden in. It's been quite the day. But thankfully it wasn't too hot in Georgia today, and it wasn't raining, so couldn't ask for anything better. If you like what you see, be sure to like and subscribe. If you have any questions about any of the plants or anything I've done here today, let me know in the comments. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.